Ellie Mroz. Through our interest in a senior project, she founded an organization called 1 Year for Cancer, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her story and the foundation. Please join me in welcoming Ellie Mroz.
Woo!
Thanks, Diana. I'm honored and excited to be speaking to you tonight. This is a fabulous way to spread awareness and to celebrate the survivors, the caregivers, and all of you who are here tonight. After I got over my nerves, still getting over my nerves, I was really excited to be here with you and share a little bit about my story. So thanks for having me. I'm going to start with a little icebreaker game that I used to play with my classes when I was a Spanish teacher at Westfield High School not long ago. It's called Two Truths and a Lie. It's pretty basic. You've probably heard of it. I'm going to tell you 3 statements. 2 of them are going to be true, and 1's going to be a lie. I'll just get right to it. Here are my 3 statements. 1 year ago this week, I was at my very last chemo treatment. 1 year ago this week, I was wearing a black tie dress. And 1 year ago this week, I founded an organization called 1 Year for Cancer. Now remember, only 2 of these statements are true. I'll start with the first one. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in October of 2007. I had very few symptoms. It was a pretty big surprise. I was teaching Spanish, like I said, at the high school, and one of the hardest things that I had to do was tell my students that I wasn't going to be there for a while. After 6 months of treatment, every other Monday at Sloan Kettering in Basking Ridge, beautiful facility. If you do the math, I was finished exactly 1 year ago this week. Next week, I have my 1 year anniversary checkup. So yes, it's true. Thanks, guys. So yeah, it's true that 1 year ago, I celebrated that 1 year ago was my last chemo treatment. So statement number 2 is that exactly 1 year ago this week, I was wearing a black tie dress. Also, a true statement. Now you're probably a little confused, like who is this crazy lady who wears black tie while she's getting chemo? But it's me. My mom was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma exactly 8 years to the day before I was. And when she went through her treatment, it was really typical. It was somber, but typical. Most people don't exactly celebrate their diagnosis. So she wanted to do something for me that was totally different, and she did. She organized a Chemo Themo, a team of her, my father, my husband Mike, my in-laws, and then special guests who would pop up every week and surprise me. This Chemo Themo put together Chemo Themos. No joke, they threw me a surprise theme party for every one of my chemo treatments. And not like when I got home, I mean in the hospital. So at first, it was pretty tame. The first one, I think we did something like warm and cozy, and they brought me a scarf and some, I don't even know, arm warmers or something. And the nurses were like, this is weird that you have 8 people here for your chemo treatment. The second week, we celebrated Christmas. It was Christmas Eve. We brought a Christmas tree, a full-on Christmas tree. We brought bags and bags. We had 12 nights of Christmas that we celebrated in that little chemo suite. And the nurses were a little bit perturbed at first. They didn't really understand why we were celebrating. We had so many people in here. They were afraid the other patients were going to get worried or annoyed, but we did it. We continued to celebrate the holidays. We celebrated Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Christmas, like I said, Hanukkah. Then we celebrated some that weren't real holidays. We celebrated my half birthday, because if anyone was born in the summer like me, as you're a kid, you might celebrate your half birthday. So in January, we celebrated my half birthday. We celebrated the anniversary of my bridal shower. Why not? That's something to celebrate, right? I think so. We celebrated all kinds of things. We celebrated shopping. I love to shop. I showed up and I had some surprise guests. My aunt was there, some friends from college, and they presented me with a bunch of magazines. They said, pick anything you want. We celebrated shopping. So it was about the 6th or 7th chemo when the nurses who were really doubtful at first, told me that other patients who were around during my treatments started doing the same thing. And they started having their own Chemo Themos parties. And they looked forward to Mondays when I was there. They looked forward to it. So my last chemo treatment, number 12, I came in a black tie dress. My grandparents, friends, family, we had maybe 20, 25 people in black tie. We had hors d'oeuvres, we had drinks, sparkling cider. We did the whole thing. And the nurses loved it, the patients loved it. And to this day, they do Chemo Themos in Basking Ridge in Sloan Kettering. So that's statement number 2, which is also true. I wore a black tie dress to my last chemo. My very last statement is that 1 year ago this week, I was working for 1 Year for Cancer, a nonprofit organization. And this is the false statement, if you've been keeping track. But it's really just a fabrication of the truth, because 1 year ago today, I was still kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life post-cancer, because you got to get back into the swing of things. So I met my current boss, Greg Reddington, by chance. He owns a commercial construction company in Westfield called Redco, and we struck up a conversation. And he told me about this wonderful idea that everybody should spend a year of their life working for a cancer organization. So whether you're an engineer, a social worker, an architect, there's something that you can do to help cancer. And that was his idea. And he wanted me to start this organization. And I couldn't think of a better thing to do with my life after what I had been through. So I did it. So last July, so it'll be a year ago in July, sorry, that was kind of a cheap shot, I started 1 Year for Cancer. And if you're interested, I'm sure Michelle and Diana can tell you a little more about it once they start in a couple weeks. And we have a website, oneyearforcancer.org. We have a Facebook group, 1 Year for Cancer. And the pictures from my Chemo Themos, they're on there. And they're pretty funny. They're funny. So I will end the same way that I started. I said this was a fabulous celebration, and it is. And I want you to remember to celebrate everything, little or big, silly or serious. Find the things in your life to celebrate, and do it, because happiness and good things will follow. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ellie. You are such an inspiration to all of us. We're going to honor the survivors here with us today by asking them to take the first lap. And we ask that everyone else line the entire track and make as much noise as possible to cheer on our survivors as they go along the track. As they finish their first lap, we'll ask everyone who is currently